Hello dear viewers, this is your boy Political Hamzy. If you like this content, please click the like button, the subscription button, and don't forget to turn on that notification bell. Today's topic will be about the Igbo presidency, who's afraid of the Igbo presidency, and the clamor for Biafra. As we all know, the Igbos are one of the major ethnic tribes in Nigeria, and it's only fair they're treated equally. The Igbos feel marginalized. They feel they are not being carried along in this project called Nigeria. But why are we afraid of an Igbo presidency? We have seen in the last election that we had three candidates, one from a Yoruba man, a Fulani man, and the Igbo man. But every time the Igbo man said or did something, there was always an uproar. They were always focused on the Igbo candidate and a lot of negativity around the Igbo candidate. Why is that so? Are we afraid that anywhere that the Igbos go, they dominate economically? That shouldn't be a bad thing, because that means they bring progress to the areas they go to. But also, it's also a Nigerian thing. Remember, Nigerians, every African country we go to, they complain, oh, we're dominating in all fields. And we should also know that the Igbos have contributed immensely to Nigeria, both in the political sectors, in the engineering sector, in the entertainment sector, in the sporting sector, all fields of Nigeria. They have contributed to making Nigeria what it is and making Nigeria a great country. So it's only fair they are carried along in this political process. Some people complain, oh, why an Igbo man is not the president? Is because they're not able to play the game of politics. But sometimes we should look at the game of politics aside and look at fairness and look at equality. You know, Nigeria is a very delicate country whereby we have to balance, find a fine balance of all tribes and religions to make everybody feel part of this country called Nigeria. And that's why you now have this clamor for Biafra, because the Igbos feel marginalized. But the problem I have about the clamor for Biafra, and also I'm not a person that believes in violence, we have seen that the Niger Delta militants, we've seen their leaders, those that led the Niger Delta militants, many of them are multi-millionaires right now, and they've kept quiet about the struggle for the Niger Delta, even though there is still lack of infrastructure, pollution, gas flaring. The issues still remain, but the players have now kept quiet because financially they're okay. But the difference between them and those clamoring for Biafra is that those clamoring for Biafra, these people are not even in Nigeria clamoring for Biafra. When the Niger Delta militant leaders were shouting and fighting, they were in the creeks with their fighters. They were in the creeks fighting also. But these people clamoring for Biafra, they're not down here in Nigeria fighting with us. Their families are not here. They're overseas. Some of them have dual nationalities. So if war should break out in the east and most of you are taken as refugees, they're not refugees. They're okay. They're sitting pretty outside the country. They've told people in the east, look, sit at home Mondays, whereby every business, everything is at a standstill, everything is closed. But they're overseas going to work every Monday. Financially, they're not affected. So what's the need for them clamoring for Biafra? Is it that they think, look, if we make enough noise, maybe we'll be settled also financially? So you need to take a good look at all these issues. And remember, the eastern states are being allocated money from the Federation account allocation. They generate money internally. You need to ask yourself, what are the eastern governors doing with this money? Because you can see Cross River under Donald Duke, you can see Akwa Ibom under successive governors how they've transformed the landscape of these states. And these were not federal projects. These were money from the Federation account allocation and money given to the state as an oil producing state, which most eastern states are oil producing states. So you need to ask yourself, what is the governor doing with this money? Because your governors are owing salaries, they're owing pensions, they're not building schools, they're not building hospitals. Even those that build hospitals, are they equipping the hospitals? They're not. So what is the governor actually doing with the money? But for some reason, the governors are still able to find money to buy themselves 4x4 vehicles, bulletproof vehicles. And we can see in Abia State, the new governor, Alex Oti, we can see the major regeneration that's going on in Abia State. These are not federal government projects. These are projects carried out by the state and with state funds. So you need to really take a good look at your governors. You remember the last election, you had a group of G5 governors, and a few of them were from the eastern states of Nigeria, states that were still owing salaries and pensions, states that were not building schools. The governors traveled overseas for meetings. Now you ask yourself, the governors traveled overseas, they're paying for hotel, they have an entourage, allowances, they're going to fly either by private, business, or first class, and who's paying for it? It's the state funds. And this is why Eastern governors keep doing this, because the people of the East are not asking the right questions. Every single thing that happens, every single deficiency, they lay it on the doorstep of the federal government. So their state governors just keep quiet and enjoy all this allocation that comes to the state. Because you ask yourself, a state governor leaves, and for some reason, they're still yet to pay salaries and pensions, but they're able to find money to build houses or pay for homes for the ex-governors and all their entitlements, but they're never able to find money for healthcare and education. We had a state in the east that the governor built a hospital, named it after either his father, his uncle, his brother, his wife. Who does that in a civilized country? And you look and you're saying, okay, that hospital, is it fully equipped? Does it have a working generator? Does it have means of people, how they're going to service the generator? Do they have a supply of diesel? And most of all, do they have the staff? Because that's an important point. You can't build a hospital and have no staff. And unfortunately, these governors are not paying salaries. So who's going to be there in the hospital? You need to ask yourself these very important questions. And because people are not asking the governors these questions, that's why the governors do what they do. Until you start asking them the right questions and they realize the people are now politically aware, they will change their ways. How can you have a governor? We're talking about brain drain in Nigeria, and a governor is telling you, I'm going to create 4,000 jobs for you in Canada. And you look at him and you're like, we don't want 4,000 jobs in Canada. We want 4,000 jobs here in the state. We want proper infrastructure. We want schools. We want hospitals. This should be your priority. But the governor can say this because he knows nobody's going to challenge him. The people are not yet politically aware. The people are somehow politically ignorant. So every little thing, he can blame it on the federal government. There's the Freedom of Information Act. Go there. Look how much is being given to your state by the Federation Account Allocation. Look how much they get as an oil producing state, and look at how much is generated internally, and add all the sums together and ask yourself, why is there no meaningful development in my state? So yes, we can blame the federal government, but the eastern governors also have questions to be asked. A big bulk of the problem actually stops out on their doorsteps. So people, we need to start asking the right questions. We need to educate ourselves politically. This is your boy, Political Hamzy. Hope you enjoyed this. You have a nice week. Thank you.